G'day, Squatkin. So, how do wealthy people create more wealth? They have money. It's money. It's always been money. If you have money, you can make more money. If you don't, you can't. I fundamentally disagree with this comment, and I believe it is this kind of mindset that will keep you poor. And let me explain how you shift it and how you escape it. Now, as a little bit of background, I come from no wealth. My parents were tradespeople. Mum was a hairdresser. Dad was a tradie. He had renovation businesses and waterproofing businesses and lots of other different things. They were very good at what they did, and they come from a very long track history of working class people who basically just struggled to survive. And they didn't understand the language of money. So I remember as a kid, when I was living with my old man, we were so poor that we had a queen size bed that my dad had made, like the bed frame, and we had a single mattress. And I would sleep on the mattress and dad would sleep on the floor, okay? So I come from nothing. I've got no handouts from my parents. In fact, when my dad passed away in 2017, I was left multi-six figures in bad debt as a result, and I had to claw myself out of that situation. Now, sure, it does take money to make money. If you want to compound your wealth, it is far easier for you to compound your wealth if you already have an asset base. But I've now built an 8-figure business, and I've been able to help my clients build over $3 billion in combined wealth using our signature system that I've documented in now my 6 international best-selling books. So what we need to understand is there's basically 3 core aspects to long-term wealth building. At the center is the production of active income, okay? And active income comes from your personal exertion or the system that you create that allows you to have leverage and produce cash flow as a result of the system that you have created. The best mechanism to do this is business, okay? And for many people, that's like, okay, I'm a self-employed, I'm a sole trader, I've got a skill set, I'm a carpenter, or I'm an electrician, or I'm a dentist, or whatever you might be. And you have developed a skill set, you've started a business, you go out on your own and you trade your expertise and your value in exchange for money. The more valuable that expertise, the more highly demanded that skill set is in the marketplace, the more you are going to be rewarded for it. So the key here is about understanding your economic value in society. I believe that people are rewarded commensurate to the value that they create or the value that they demand, because there are many people in the world who create a ton of value, but they don't understand how to demonstrate that value or demand that value, and therefore they are rewarded below the value that they create, and that is not an ideal situation. So I believe you need to get a highly profitable and sought after skill set, and then you need to go and demand that value in the marketplace. And then what we do is we want to create leverage through building a system, because if you're trading time for money, there is only going to be a finite amount of time that you can trade, right? And for many people, they do this for too long, they overextend themselves, and they burn out. And when you burn out and you stop trading time for money, that is one of the biggest killers of your wealth. This happened to my dad. He had a number of very successful businesses because he was very good at what he did, but he wasn't very good at building a system in order to get leverage for his time. And he would work 60, 70, 80 hours a week, and then he would burn out. And then he would have to take time out of his business, or he'd self-sabotage, and then he would lose lots of momentum, and then he'd have to start again. And the idea about compounding is that it's a snowball effect. It needs to continue to roll in order to grow. So the idea is, how do you build a business that provides you with leverage because of the productization of what you offer, or the ability for you to use people, your employees, in order to get leverage, and you have the ability to make a profit from those people's efforts. The idea is we want to do this fairly, and we want to ensure that those people are rewarded commensurate to the value that they create, but we obviously want to make sure that we're compensated. So a good system usually is about having the rule of thirds. 1/3 goes to your employees, 1/3 goes to the operational cost of the business, 1/3 is the profit for the owner. So essentially means that you should be able to make a 30% profit in a business. There's lots of great businesses out there that do 10, 15, 20% profit, but that's just our general rule of thumb, okay? So then, once we've got a business that has scale and has leverage, we need to take that profit and we need to turn that into personal wealth. So the second pillar of our overall wealth building strategy is property. Now the reason for this is because residential real estate in Australia has been relatively consistent in terms of performance. Ultimately, it comes down to the economics of supply and demand, and we know that we've got good fundamental drivers, we've got net migration, we've got diversified employment, we've got infrastructure spending, we've got livability, people want to live here, we've got a limitation of future supply, which already is less than what we need based on the forecasted population growth. The questionable one, which is the last one, which is affordability, how much people can afford. Obviously, property is very expensive. So we want to make sure that we're buying in areas that people can continue to afford to have rents go up and have those property prices go up. Now, the real value of property here is if we buy good quality blue chip property in desirable locations where people are going to want to live long term, that we have the ability to leverage our investment. So we can have a 10% deposit, we can go and borrow 90% from the bank and control 100% of an asset. And this magnifies our cash on cash return. So for example, let's say you had $100,000. You went and bought $1 million property. That $1 million property goes up by 5% a year. That is a 50% cash on cash return because you put in 100,000, that property's gone up by 50,000. That's 50% return on your cash that you've contributed. So that's a phenomenal investment and a phenomenal way for you to grow. And you don't need to have a lot of property in order to experience the compounding effects. For many of our best clients, they might have 3, 4, 5 properties. Sure, we've got clients that have got more than 10, but the reality is you only need kind of 3, 4, 5 really great properties and allow them to compound over 10, 15, 20 years, and you will create an exceptional amount of wealth. However, the thing about residential real estate is that it doesn't pay high income. So let's say, for example, you've got $1 million property. That might pay you $600, $700 a week in rent if you're lucky. Then you've got to pay strata, then you've got to pay council rates, insurances, maintenance, all of those things. So once you consider the net yield, particularly after you've serviced the debt, it's usually negatively geared. And even if the debt was fully paid off, it's probably only going to give you about 2 or 3% net yield, okay? So that's not going to fund you in retirement. That's not going to fund your lifestyle when you want to be financially free. So we then want to create what we call our satellite portfolio, where we invest in unitized investments, so things like shares and managed funds and index funds. So we have the ability to drip feed money into the market, and in turn, we can pull money out in dribs and drabs because with a property, you can't sell the kitchen sink if you need to raise money. Sure, you could refinance and get cash out, but if you need to get liquidity and you don't want to take on debt, you need to sell the whole asset. Whereas with shares, it's fractional investments. So we have the ability to sell it down or buy it in units, okay? And typically speaking, those types of investment have a higher yield. So for example, we can go and buy a portfolio of high quality blue chip stocks in Australia, and the dividend yields are between 5 and 7% fully franked, meaning that the company has already paid 30% tax, so we can gross that up. In many cases, it's a 7 to 9% pre-tax return without tenants, without council rates, without insurances, without maintenance. And we also have the ability to diversify because we can hold more companies because of that unitization effect. So this is how we build an investment strategy for our clients. This is how we take people from having no wealth, no handouts, starting from complete scratch, to build their active income, to be able to create leverage, to turn that business profit into personal wealth, utilizing the magnification effect of borrowing through residential real estate, and then diversifying into liquid, unitized investments that typically pay higher income and allow us to have higher amounts of diversification. This is how wealth is built. And this is how I've personally built over $6 million in net wealth over the course of my career, since going from multi-six figures in bad debt when my dad passed away to now. So if you've got any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. Hope this is helpful.